So you got your PPP loan, congratulations. Now what? Well, let's review quickly what you can use those loan proceeds for. Remember, payroll costs, including wages, vacation pay, sick pay, retirement, health insurance, local payroll taxes, rent, utilities, and interest on prior mortgage obligations. What do you do with the proceeds now? Well, your banker may have a preference, and you certainly want to follow their guidance because they're going to decide whether this loan gets forgiven or not and to what extent. I suggest that you put the proceeds into a separate account under the business and pay the expenses preferably out of that account. That means that you need to update with your payroll company the new account, or if you're using QuickBooks, you need to update your QuickBooks to use the new account. If you can't do that, don't want to, then just transfer from the new account to the operating account as you incur the expenses, as you incur the payroll expenses, rent, etc. And keep good documentation. It's going to be very important that you have documentation, that you carefully track the use of these funds. Keep in mind, to maximize loan forgiveness, no more than 25% of these funds should be used for non-payroll purposes. No more than 25%. Doing more than that endangers your loan forgiveness. So how do you get the loan forgiven? Loan forgiveness is going to be based on a rather complex and multi-step calculation. You're going to look at the average monthly full-time employees you have employed during the 8-week period after you receive the loan proceeds. That's your numerator. The denominator is going to be one of two numbers. Either your average monthly full-time employees that you had last year from January 15th, 2019 through June 30th, 2019, or this year from January 1st, 2020 through February 29th, 2020. You're going to use one of those two numbers. Whichever one gives you the better ratio is the one that you can use. That amount can be reduced by any dollars that you saved by reducing any employee by 25% or more. So if Joe was getting paid $1,000 a week and now he's getting paid $600 a week, that's a $400 reduction, and that $400 is going to come off of your loan forgiveness amount. Let's say that you furloughed people or you reduced pay in the period prior to receiving of the loan. You can rehire them, you can restore their pay, and you have until June 30th, 2020 to do that. If you're not able to rehire or bring back the people that you furloughed, or they don't want to come back for whatever reason, then you certainly can replace them with somebody else. They don't have to be the same people necessarily. Now let's say that you didn't get a full 100% forgiveness on the PPP loan. What happens now? It converts to a permanent loan, which is payable over the next 2 years. First payments are deferred for 6 months, and the interest rate is 1%. So it's not a bad deal. But please do not use the loan proceeds for any purposes that were not authorized in the regulations. Doing so could invite potential fraud prosecution. Every day we're getting clarification and new regulations on this PPP loan program, but there are currently some things that are unknown. For example, the loan proceeds can be used for payroll expenses such as retirement plan contributions, rent, etc. Retirement plan contributions, that is the company portion, we often don't pay until the following year. Can you accrue that, or should you go ahead and pay it? My suggestion to you is that you go ahead and just pay it as you go, as opposed to accruing it, because we don't have guidance on whether you can accrue any of these expenses. Can you prepay 4 or 5 months of rent with these proceeds? We don't know. I would suggest that you not do that in absence of any further guidance. Can you use proceeds to give people bonuses or raises? There's been no guidance on that, but that's something that we can talk about one-on-one. Another unknown is whether or not the expenses that are paid with these loan proceeds that are going to be forgiven whether or not those expenses will remain tax deductible. Generally speaking, the law says that when you have tax exempt income in any business, you must allocate expenses to that tax exempt income and not deduct those expenses that are allocable to that amount of income. That's the established law. However, doing so would fly in the face of what this program seems to be aimed at doing, which is to give a benefit, a tax-free benefit to businesses that continue to employ people. There is not, again, authoritative guidance on this issue. We will keep you advised if anything changes. We have an important update from the Internal Revenue Service. The IRS says expenses paid for with forgiven loan proceeds are not tax deductible. The IRS issued Notice 2020-32 outlining its position that any expenses paid for with forgiven PPP loan proceeds will not be tax deductible in accordance with Code Section 265. While one can argue that the IRS's interpretation is valid under existing law, this seems to contradict Congress's intent when it included specific language in the CARES Act to exclude the forgiveness from taxation. I've discussed this personally with U.S. Congressman Gus Bilirakis and communicated with the offices of U.S. Senators Rick Scott and Marco Rubio on possible congressional action to address this matter. The American Institute of CPAs has also urged Congress to address this. Watch here for further updates. The link to the IRS notice is here. So, congratulations on receiving your loan. Be very careful to document the use of those loans. Call us if we can help you. We have a loan forgiveness calculator that we can assist you in the process to come up with the proposed loan forgiveness amount. Remember that the decision is with your banker, and they will, of course, make that decision with guidance from the SBA and Treasury regulations. Thanks again. I appreciate you. Please know that I'm here, and have a good day.